Finding ʻOli. A true love story about a critically endangered hawksbill sea turtle. Written by Marjorie Tyler. Read by Kristina Mekdeci. Are you going to Big Beach tomorrow to look for turtles' nests? Anita asked. Her mother took a last sip of coffee and looked up from her morning paper. You know I go every Tuesday morning. Oh, please, Mama, Anita begged. Please, can I come with you? I'm almost 5 years old. Her mother paused as she carried the breakfast dishes to the sink. Yes, Anita, she replied with a smile. I think this year you are ready to join Dawn Patrol. Really? Oh, Mama? Anita wrapped her small arms around her mother's waist and then twirled around the kitchen in a dance of joy. Early the next morning, Anita and her mother set out through the deep woods that lay between their home and the beach. They heard the loud thunder of the waves crashing on the sand. Anita wondered how a turtle could brave such powerful waves, crawl up out of the sea, and across the wide beach to find a safe nesting place among the sand dunes. As they came out of the woods, they had their first view of Big Beach and the brilliant blue ocean beyond. Anita's mother stopped suddenly, and Anita looked up in surprise. Look, Anita, do you see those markings in the sand? She asked, and pointed toward the water. Anita followed her mother's pointing finger, and her eyes widened. All the way from the water's edge, across the beach, and up to the trees were what looked like deep tire tracks left by an enormous truck. A second set of tracks returned to the sea. A hawksbill sea turtle made those tracks, her mother whispered, eyes sparkling. We have a new nest. A mother turtle had returned during the night to this beach, where she had been born maybe 25 years before. She chose a cool place covered by the shade of the giant kiawe trees, far enough away from the changing tides that the nest would stay safe and dry. With her powerful flippers, she dug through 2 feet of sand to lay her soft-shelled eggs. They would hatch in about 60 days. Anita skipped happily over the sand. Her mother made a careful note of just where the turtle's nest lay. You have been my good luck charm today, Anita, she exclaimed, drawing Anita into a warm hug. They finished walking the rest of the beach to make sure there weren't more tracks, which was highly unlikely since hawksbills' nests are rare. They were lucky the turtle chose last night to lay her eggs so Anita and her mother could discover the tracks from the first nest of the season today. All the way home, they talked about turtles, turtles, turtles. Anita's mother explained that the mother turtle will find a spot somewhere on the reef to rest, while her new batch of eggs, sometimes over 200, develop inside her. Then she will swim back to the Big Beach area in another 2 to 3 weeks to crawl ashore bravely and lay a new nest. She'll probably repeat that for a total of 5 nests this summer. Then she will swim all the way back to where she lived when she wasn't on her nesting mission. That might be on a different island. I know you haven't learned much math yet, Anita, but you will. If you have 5 nests with 200 eggs in each of them, that could mean that we get to watch over 1,000 hatchlings this season. Anita was just so excited to get to see one hatchling. 2 months sure was a long time to wait. Anita thought of that first nest as her very own. Her mother promised that they would sleep out on the beach next to the nest at hatching time with their good friend Cheryl, a marine biologist. She works for an organization that studies and protects hawksbill turtles. Cheryl and her dedicated volunteers have spent many days and nights on Big Beach searching for nesters and then watching for the little hatchlings to appear to make sure they all crawl to the ocean safely. Anita wanted to help as much as possible this summer. What do you call someone who knows about turtles? Anita asked. She was sitting on the couch with her father. He was reading the newspaper, and she was looking at her favorite book of pictures of sea creatures. Her father looked puzzled. I don't know, Anita, but a turtle is a marine reptile, and someone who studies reptiles is called an herpetologist, I think. That's what I'm going to be when I grow up, Anita declared. A marine herpetologist. A fine ambition, her father replied. The summer days tumbled by, and Anita managed to tuck thoughts of the turtle nest to the back of her mind until bedtime. Then she would look at her tidy bundle, sleeping bag, sweatshirt, red flashlight, waiting beside the bedroom door and feel a shiver of anticipation. Today is the day, Anita, her mother announced. Gather your things together. Tonight we camp on Big Beach. Anita, her mother, and Cheryl prepared their chairs and sleeping bags on the sand near the turtle's nest. They would take turns through the night sleeping and watching quietly. Cheryl explained to Anita, we can only loosely predict when the turtles will emerge by our past experiences with the nest. We just have to be patient. It's all about the temperature. The hotter the nest is, the faster they incubate, and that means there will likely be more female hatchlings. Then it can take days to wiggle out of their eggshells and crawl out of their sandy nest to the surface. Anita couldn't believe that they could breathe and move under all that sand. She was worried about them and wanted to dig them out, but knew they had to let nature take its course. The turtles would find a way. Lulled by the lapping of the waves and the soft evening breeze, Anita drifted off to sleep. She was swimming with the turtles in a dreamy haze when she was awakened by her mother's gentle nudge. The turtles are here. Anita sat up and rubbed her eyes. One after another, the teeny brown heads popped up through the sand. A flurry of miniature flippers followed. The baby turtles were greeting the world for the first time under the light of a full moon. They headed straight for the water. How did they know which way to go? Anita stood up and gazed in amazement. Cheryl and her mother shooed the hungry ghost crabs away, marching over mounds of sand, toppling over and struggling to control those brand new flippers. They reached the waves and were swept into their new watery world. Anita had fallen in love. She made a wish upon a star that night that she would find one of those special turtles again one day. Anita would have to become a good swimmer and learn to snorkel before she could begin her search for the turtles. She was in the water every chance she could get. She knew in her heart that her wish would someday come true. Her parents watched, amazed at how hard she was willing to work. For her 5th birthday, she received a wonderful present. Her parents gave her a special camera designed to take pictures both on land and underwater. Anita was thrilled. They also gave her a large scrapbook, and that very day she started a collection of ocean scenes and sea life. It became a beautiful book. She and her friends spent hours taking pictures of shells and other treasures on the beach. Her teacher was especially pleased when she brought the photographs to school for show and tell. Anita believed that Maui was a magical place. Sunrises brought schools of playful dolphins, leaping from the water and spinning in midair. Wherever she went on the island, the air carried the sweet smells of tropical flowers. At sunset, the skies glowed with bands of glorious color, and all around her, in all seasons, the blue ocean beckoned. The whales came in the wintertime, swimming from the cold waters of Alaska to the warm waters of Hawaii. Here, their babies were born. Anita watched the pods cruise through the waves. Sparkling fountains were tossed upward as the whales breathed through their blowholes. When she went snorkeling in whale season, she could hear the songs of the males from miles away, mooing, clicking, and cooing. Summer brought the freedom of school-less days. Then the ocean became her whole world, and she delighted in the beautiful, strange, and whimsical creatures she found there. The summer Anita was 10 would prove to be the most eventful summer of her life. She had become a strong swimmer and now snorkeled out to the farthest reaches of the reef. She often went with her snorkel buddy, Auntie Miley, who loved the waters around Maui as much as Anita did. Sunlight slanting through the water lit up the reef in dazzling colors. They played peekaboo with the striped sergeant fish, followed schools of silvery, whiskered goatfish, watched the octopus change colors and the eels slide in and out of their caves. Together, they explored much of the reef near her home, and Anita shared with Auntie Miley her secret wish to find a hawksbill turtle. Big green turtles Honu were often eating seaweed close to the shore, but day after day no hawksbill Honuea appeared. One calm morning, Anita and her mother decided to venture out to part of the reef they had not yet explored. They slipped into the water. The shimmering blue-green world welcomed them, and they glided over the reef, gazing in all directions. Anita couldn't believe her eyes. Swimming right in front of them was a young hawksbill turtle. It was the smallest turtle Anita had ever seen swimming in the ocean. It was also the most beautiful. It was her wish come true. Anita wanted to shout for joy. She swam cautiously toward the turtle, and, to her delight, it turned to face her, as if to say, Aloha. Anita knew in her heart that they would be friends. The perfect name came to her. She would call her ʻOli, which means joy in Hawaiian. The turtle dove down to the ocean bottom and wedged herself under a ledge of coral to take a nap. Anita's mother could see in her daughter's face that she had truly found joy. Back on shore, however, she offered words of caution. Now, you must be very careful with ʻOli, she said. Of course, you will be friends, but you must watch and learn from her. Make sure you give her plenty of room to swim and play, and you must never try to touch her. Anita knew all these things and promised that she would never do anything to harm ʻOli. She looked for ʻOli every day. When she woke up in the morning, her first thoughts were of ʻOli. She leapt out of bed, hoping always for clear weather and smooth waters. And most summer days, Anita did find ʻOli, close to her coral home, playing hide and seek with the big Honu. Sometimes Anita didn't have to look for her at all. ʻOli just appeared, gliding, dipping, drifting toward her. We hope you have enjoyed watching part 1 of this true story about a little hawksbill sea turtle named ʻOli.